It was a chilly evening in the city. The streets were busy, the lights were bright, but one little girl's stomach was empty, and her heart felt heavier than the winter air. She had no shoes, no coat, and only a small bag of tattered clothes. Yet, in her eyes, there was a spark, an unshakable hope that maybe, just maybe, kindness still existed in the world. Meanwhile, in a towering office building nearby, a wealthy CEO sat behind a polished mahogany desk, sipping his expensive coffee, unaware that a small voice from the streets was about to change his life, and his son's life, forever. Before we dive into this remarkable story, make sure you subscribe to our channel, Story of Pure Kindness, give this video a like, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Every click, every comment, every share helps us bring more heartwarming stories to the world. Her name was Lily. She was only 10, yet life had already taught her lessons far beyond her years. Lily had no family to lean on. Her mother had passed away when she was very young, and her father had left, unable to cope with his own struggles. Each day, she wandered the city streets, searching for something to fill both her belly and her heart. On this particular evening, the cold bit harder than usual. Lily had just finished begging for scraps behind a bustling diner. Her small hands clutched a piece of half-eaten bread, which she devoured slowly, savoring every crumb. She watched the people pass her by, too busy, too self-absorbed, or too impatient to even notice a starving child in need. And yet, deep down, she believed in the goodness of people. That night, fate led her to the grand lobby of a towering skyscraper. She had heard whispers of a man named Mr. Harrison, a CEO whose business empire stretched across the nation. It wasn't wealth that drew her near, it was hope. Rumor had it his son, Alex, hadn't spoken a word in years. Maybe, just maybe, if she could help the boy, she could find a little kindness in return, something as simple as a warm meal. With trembling hands and a pounding heart, Lily entered the building. The shiny floors reflected her tired face as she walked up to the receptionist. I need to see Mr. Harrison, she stammered. The receptionist frowned at first, but seeing the girl's worn-out shoes and desperate eyes, she hesitated. Somehow, the message reached the CEO's office. Mr. Harrison, a man of immense wealth and influence, looked up from his paperwork when he saw Lily being escorted in. He raised an eyebrow, curious but also slightly amused. "And who might you be, young lady?" he asked, his voice polite but firm. Lily swallowed hard. "Sir, I heard your son hasn't spoken in a long time," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. If I can make him talk, will you give me leftovers?" For a moment, the room fell silent. Mr. Harrison blinked, unsure if he'd heard correctly. "Leftovers," he repeated, his brow furrowed in confusion. Then, he laughed, a deep, hearty laugh that echoed through the spacious office. It wasn't a cruel laugh, it was a surprised one. "Are you serious?" "Yes, sir," Lily replied, her small eyes looking directly at him. "I don't need anything fancy. Just something to eat." Something about her honesty, her vulnerability, and her courage struck him. He set down his pen and studied her carefully. "All right," he said finally, "let's see what you've got. But know this, Alex hasn't spoken to anyone for years." Alex Harrison was sitting silently in the corner, a quiet, pale boy who avoided eye contact with everyone. He was about 12, tall for his age but fragile-looking, wrapped in designer clothes that did nothing to warm his lonely heart. He hadn't spoken since the death of his mother 3 years earlier. Therapists, teachers, even family friends had tried and failed to get him to open up. Lily approached cautiously. She didn't kneel or beg. She simply smiled. There was a warmth in her smile that seemed to bridge the gap between two very different worlds. "Hi," she said softly. "I'm Lily. I know we haven't met, but I'd love to be your friend. I like stories, and I like talking. Maybe we can talk together." Alex's eyes flickered briefly toward her, a hint of curiosity breaking through his wall of silence. Lily didn't push. She just sat nearby, listening to the quiet hum of the office, waiting patiently. Hours passed. Mr. Harrison watched from his desk, skeptical but intrigued. He had expected the girl to give up after a few minutes, but Lily's determination never wavered. She told stories of the streets, of tiny acts of kindness she'd seen, and even sang little songs that reminded Alex of laughter and warmth. Slowly, imperceptibly at first, Alex leaned in. Then, something miraculous happened. Alex whispered a single word. "Hello." The room fell silent. Mr. Harrison's eyes widened, disbelief and joy mingling in a way that words couldn't capture. Lily's eyes sparkled, and she smiled gently. "Hi, Alex," she said softly. See, you can do it. From that moment on, the floodgates opened. Alex spoke more words, then sentences, then entire conversations. He laughed for the first time in years. His father, overwhelmed with emotion, realized that money, tutors, and therapy couldn't achieve what one small act of courage and kindness could. And as for Lily, true to his word, Mr. Harrison offered her a warm meal and more than just leftovers. He provided her with food, clothing, and eventually, opportunities she never could have dreamed of. But for Lily, the greatest reward wasn't the meal, it was knowing that a single act of courage and kindness could transform not just her life, but the life of a lonely boy and even the heart of a man who thought he had seen everything. What makes this story truly unforgettable is how it reminds us of the power of small acts of kindness. Lily didn't have wealth or influence. She didn't have connections or privilege. What she had was courage, honesty, and a willingness to extend love to someone who needed it most. And sometimes, that's enough to change everything. Alex's transformation wasn't just about finally speaking, it was about learning to trust, to open his heart, and to connect with the world again. And Mr. Harrison, a man accustomed to controlling everything through money and power, learned that the purest gifts in life are free, trust, friendship, and the simple act of kindness. Stories like Lily's remind us that kindness is never wasted. It's not about grand gestures or expensive gifts, it's about noticing the person who needs help, listening when someone feels unheard, and offering a hand when someone is down. A smile, a few words, or even a moment of genuine care can change lives in ways we might never fully understand. And sometimes, the smallest among us, those we might overlook or underestimate, hold the greatest power to inspire, heal, and create joy. Lily, with nothing but courage and compassion, proved that one person can truly make a difference. As the years passed, Alex continued to flourish. He excelled in school, made friends, and discovered his own passion for helping others. And he never forgot Lily, the girl who had seen him, believed in him, and gave him the courage to speak. He often visited her, bringing gifts, sharing laughter, and, above all, spreading the kindness she had first shown him. Meanwhile, Lily's life transformed too. She received an education, found a supportive family through Mr. Harrison's network, and became a beacon of hope in her own community. Yet she never became proud or arrogant. She remembered the warmth of that first smile she shared with Alex, the miracle of his whispered, hello, and she carried that memory with her wherever she went. Kindness is powerful because it's contagious. It bridges gaps between the rich and the poor, the lonely and the joyful, the fearful and the brave. It doesn't require wealth, status, or fame. It requires only a willing heart and a brave spirit. So, the next time you see someone struggling, remember Lily. Remember how a single, courageous act of kindness changed the lives of a little girl, a lonely boy, and even a man who thought he already had everything. You, too, can make a difference, sometimes with nothing more than a smile, a listening ear, or a heartfelt word. If this story touched your heart, remember to subscribe to our channel, Story of Pure Kindness, like this video, and share it with someone who might need a reminder that kindness matters. Because in the end, the world isn't changed by wealth or power, it's changed by the brave hearts who choose to be kind.